Those who have had roommates who love to take petty advantages know how frustrating it can be to get along with them. Not only are daily items often pilfered, but also small benefits are contested, and even trivial matters can lead to unpleasantness. My roommate, Lin Shanshan, was exactly like this. When she suddenly received a large transfer, she became extremely arrogant. I kindly reminded her that it might be a fraud, but she thought I was jealous. Even when the counselor got involved, she still blamed me and pushed me off the building. After being reborn, I adopted a different attitude. In that quiet dormitory, a clear prompt suddenly rang out. Alipay has received 1 million yuan. This sound was like a huge boulder thrown into a calm lake, instantly shattering the tranquility of the room. The rest of us in the dormitory all turned our eyes in unison to the direction where Lin Shanshan was. Lin Shanshan was evidently startled by this unexpected prompt. She was stunned for a moment, and then hurriedly fumbled to open her phone to check. In just an instant, she covered her mouth in surprise, and the uncontrollable smile on her face was extremely similar to the wantonly blooming flowers in spring. Shanshan, have you struck it rich? Then you must treat us to a meal. The dormitory head, Luli, originally thought Lin Shanshan was joking with everyone, so she made a half-joking comment. Lin Shanshan rolled her eyes a few times, and then pretended to be nonchalant, saying, "Do you really believe it? It's just a ringtone." But at this moment, Li Meng beside her curiously leaned over to take a look, and then exclaimed in shock, "Sis Shanshan, you really have 1 million yuan in your account. Could it be that someone transferred it by mistake?" A trace of displeasure flashed across Lin Shanshan's face. She quickly put away her phone and stammered in defense. "How could it be? Maybe it's money sent to me by some elder in my family." The three of us exchanged glances. We all knew in our hearts that Lin Shanshan was most likely lying. It wasn't that we were jealous of her. It was just that her usual behavior made it extremely difficult for us to believe that she could have such a large sum of money. Lin Shanshan has always loved to take petty advantages from others. Luli's shower gel, shampoo, Li Meng's laundry detergent, sanitary napkins, and my skincare products, tissues, etc. She would always take them quietly without a word. When we discovered it, she would just brazenly turn around and leave without saying a word. Considering the bond of being roommates, although we were a bit bothered in our hearts, we were too embarrassed to voice our accusations. Moreover, her personal hygiene situation was truly appalling. She never washed her clothes and pants. They were all randomly piled on the bed. Every few days, she would pick out one that looked relatively clean from the pile and put it on. Sometimes, she was even too lazy to use sanitary napkins, and the blood-stained underwear was just hanging on the head of the bed. In front of her bunk, there were piles of take-out boxes, and a strange smell filled the entire dormitory. Every time we couldn't stand it anymore, and took the initiative to clean for her, yet she would still proudly proclaim outside that the few of us were her maids. To be honest, there was not a shred of the elegance of a refined lady in Lin Shanshan. It was really hard for us to believe that she could have a 1 million yuan deposit. If it was really a transfer by mistake, the other party must be very anxious, right? Luli furrowed her brows and voiced her concern. Lin Shanshan was like a cat whose tail had been stepped on. She suddenly shrieked, "How could it be a transfer by mistake? The money has reached my account. It's my money. Besides, even if it was a transfer by mistake, it's their own fault. What does it have to do with me?" As she spoke, she also looked at me, who had been silent all along, and asked, "Xiao, don't you think so?" In my previous life, I had just read a few anti-fraud posts, and thought that the money Lin Shanshan received was likely a new type of fraud, so I patiently persuaded her for a long time. But not only did she not believe me, she also sneered at me, saying that I was jealous of her good luck. Later, the counselor somehow learned about this matter. After talking to Lin Shanshan, the counselor asked her to call the police first, and then return the money along the original route. Lin Shanshan, who had lost 1 million yuan, harbored a grudge against me from then on, firmly believing that I had reported to the counselor. Later, she pushed me off the 6th-floor building. The excruciating pain of my whole body being shattered is still vividly felt in my mind, even when I close my eyes. And this time, I will let her get what she wants. I secretly clenched my fists behind my back, but on my face, I showed an extremely envious expression and said, "Shanshan, you are so lucky, woo-woo." Lin Shanshan was evidently very satisfied with my attitude. She gave a proud glance at Luli and Li Meng. Luli and Li Meng also felt a bit strange, and looked at me in confusion. After all, my family conditions were quite good among those in the dormitory. I was usually very generous and used high-end skincare products like SK2 and Helena Rubinstein. Logically speaking, I shouldn't be the kind of person who is greedy for money and loves to take advantages. I ignored their gazes and continued to pretend to be longing, saying, "If I suddenly received 1 million yuan, I could buy a lot of beautiful little dresses. My skincare products are almost used up, and I need to stock up on some masks." I also want to buy aromatherapy bags, small shoes, and the newly released blind boxes. As they listened to me, their eyes sparkled brightly. Even Luli couldn't help but say, I also want to go on a crazy shopping spree, woo-woo. Needless to say, Lin Shanshan's cheeks were flushed, and she would occasionally steal a glance at her phone, looking extremely excited and unable to contain herself. At this moment, I suddenly sighed softly and said, unfortunately, for this kind of money transferred by mistake, will it be withdrawn soon? Reminded by me, Lin Shanshan's face instantly changed, and she hurriedly picked up her phone and started fiddling with it. Luli also kindly reminded beside her, we don't even know who transferred this money. What if the person reports it to the police and wants it back? Illegal possession of other people's property seems to be punishable by imprisonment. Li Meng added beside her. Lin Shanshan began to hesitate and subconsciously looked at me again. Only I had echoed her before, so she probably regarded me as a reliable ally. 5. I spread my hands and pretended to be helpless, saying, how would I know about such things? After all, I'm not the lucky one who received the money, right? In my previous life, just because I kindly persuaded her, she held a grudge against me. This time, I will definitely not express any opinion easily. However, I still played a little trick and deliberately emphasized the 3 words lucky one. Lin Shanshan was silent for a long time and then suddenly laughed, saying, okay, I will handle this matter myself. I haven't even asked who transferred the money yet. Maybe it was transferred to me by some rich relative of mine. Moreover, even if it was a transfer by mistake, they will probably take it back by themselves. Don't worry about it. After saying that, she put her hands behind her back and swaggered out of the dormitory. After Lin Shanshan walked far away, Luli furrowed her brows and asked, Xiao Xiao, you seem a bit strange today. Why are you speaking in favor of Lin Shanshan? I think that money is likely to be a fraud. I smiled and said, even if we try to persuade her, do you think she will listen? But Luli was about to say something more when I interrupted her directly. Respect others' fates, and let go of the savior complex. Luli and Li Meng exchanged a glance, and couldn't help bursting into laughter. In fact, they had long been dissatisfied with Lin Shanshan. If it weren't for me often acting as a peacemaker in the past, they might have already fallen out with her. Li Meng had mentioned more than once before that she wanted to change dormitories. Now that they saw I no longer meddled in Lin Shanshan's affairs, both of them showed expressions of relief. An hour later, Lin Shanshan walked in carrying big and small bags of snacks. She even generously distributed a pack of Mimi strips to each of us. In the past, she would never bring any food back to the dormitory after all. The 3 of us had always been her snack depot. Now that she was suddenly so generous, I immediately guessed that she must have used that money. I was not at all surprised by this result. Some people's greed is ingrained in their bones. Even if they lack nothing, they still want to take advantage of others. How could someone like her possibly let go of the 1 million yuan windfall that had fallen into her hands? I have already asked my mother. That money is the inheritance left by my second uncle's third aunt. She had no children, so she left it to me. Lin Shanshan announced triumphantly. Also, after all, this is my personal privacy. You guys just know it. Don't go around blabbing about it outside. I suppressed my laughter and pretended to be envious, saying, of course I never thought that you, Shanshan, had such a wealthy aunt. When you get rich in the future, don't forget about us. Lin Shanshan waved her hand generously and said, Xiao Xiao, I used some of your skincare products before. I'll buy you a new bottle later. You're welcome. Really? Shanshan, you're so kind. In the following days, Lin Shanshan became extremely arrogant. In the past, she used our things furtively, but now she didn't avoid us at all. Whenever someone couldn't stand it and said a few words to her, she would proudly show off the balance in her bank card. She said, I'm so rich, why would I need to take your things? I'm just too lazy to buy them. Don't worry, when I finish using them, I'll buy new ones for you right away. But although she said so, until we bought new daily necessities ourselves, we didn't see her take any action. Instead, she bought a lot of personal items like dresses and bags. The express boxes piled up on the balcony, and it was Luli who finally helped her throw them away. After she got the money, her habit of taking advantage of others not only didn't improve, but also made her more justifiably regard us as her maids. Li Meng finally couldn't bear it anymore and interrupted. Lin Shanshan, if you don't tidy up your things, I'll apply to the counselor to have you leave the dormitory. Why? The school isn't run by your family. Why should I leave? Living in the dormitory is much cheaper than renting a house outside. I know that Lin Shanshan would never spend her own money to rent a house. Just because you don't abide by the dormitory rules, you're a black sheep. Li Meng ran to the bathroom and took out a plunger. Her stance was as if she was about to hit Lin Shanshan on the head the next second. Lin Shanshan let out a scream and turned her anger on Luli. Dormitory head, why don't you control Li Meng? How are you doing your job as the dormitory head? Luli watched coldly and paid no attention to her. Lin Shanshan said viciously, you guys are isolating me on purpose. You want to bully me, right? Just you wait, brother Ning will avenge me. Gao Ning. I knew this person. He was the school bully, idle and good for nothing, always hanging around with a bunch of cronies all day long. They were all slovenly, and thought they were as handsome as the male leads in idol dramas. I really didn't expect that Lin Shanshan would get involved with him. If she really asked Gao Ning to cause trouble for us, it would be quite difficult to deal with. I quickly stepped in to smooth things over. Okay, we're all room Mattis. It's normal to have some small friction. Let's just talk it out. After saying a few kind words, Lin Shanshan held her head up proudly and said, Xiao, you're the most sensible. I'll take care of you in the future. I cursed Lin Shanshan 1,000 times in my heart, thinking, just don't disgust me, and I'll be grateful. But on my face, I feigned a look of surprise. This matter passed for the time being. After that, Lin Shanshan seemed to be busy with something, and didn't return to the dormitory. For several consecutive days the dormitory became much quieter until one day, she suddenly came to me aggressively. Her face was extremely ugly. She grabbed my shoulders and asked fiercely, why did the counselor know about this? Did you report it? Memories of my previous life surged like a tide. The fear of being targeted, and ultimately dying a tragic death, seemed to surround me tightly again. Why did this happen again? No, this time it was many days later than in my previous life, and she had already spent the transferred money. I forced myself to calm down and said with a look of surprise, report? I haven't seen the counselor these days. Are you telling the truth? You're not lying to me. Lin Shanshan stared intently into my eyes. I wished she would quickly spend all that ill-gotten money, so that she would get her just desert sooner. How could I possibly tell the counselor? I gave a soft laugh and said, Shanshan, what are you talking about? I've been busy preparing for exams and materials these days. How could I have time to report? By the way, what exactly did you do? Are there any secrets you're hiding from us? My expression was extremely sincere, and Lin Shanshan knew that I had been preparing for the exam recently. Our school has 2 exchange places at Ivy League universities. Only students with a GPA in the top 10 are eligible to apply. In my previous life, I was extremely eager for this opportunity, but after being pushed off the 6th floor by Lin Shanshan, everything came to nothing this time. I will definitely not miss it. Lin Shanshan smiled awkwardly and said, it's okay, maybe I heard wrong. Xiao. Keep working hard. Wish you success in the exams. I smiled and said, then I'll take your good word for it. After sending Lin Shanshan away, she started constantly testing Lu Li and Li Meng. Lu Li and Li Meng were so annoyed by her that they simply left early and returned late. They were hardly in the dormitory except when sleeping. In this way, only Lin Shanshan and I were left in the dormitory. Since I behaved obediently, Lin Shanshan didn't give me too much trouble. Instead, she regarded me as her little follower. Xiao. Lin Shanshan casually picked up my toner, poured out a large amount, and patted it on her face. I secretly gritted my teeth, thinking that I should have added something to it earlier. I've bought so many sneakers and clothes for brother Ning. Why is he still so indifferent to me? I was taken aback. I never expected that Lin Shanshan was actually a love-struck fool. What's even more incomprehensible is how she could fall for someone like Gao Ning. I felt a wave of nausea in my heart, and sincerely hoped that the two of them would stay together and not bother me. Hehe, maybe your love isn't enough. Maybe he's testing you. As the saying goes, quantitative change leads to qualitative change. Send more gifts, and persevere for a few more days. Maybe it will work, I said solemnly. Lin Shanshan's eyes lit up, and with a beaming smile she said, that makes sense. Xiao, you're so resourceful. Help me think again. What else might brother Ning like? Forget it. Have you never even been in a relationship? How would I know about such things? I'm afraid the gift I choose might not be to his taste. When it comes to gifts, one really has to prepare them with sincere care. I pulled over a test paper and buried my head in working on it. Lin Shanshan nodded in deep agreement and, without disturbing me any further, dashed out cheerfully. In the following days, whether it was due to Lin Shanshan's gift-giving campaign taking effect or not, she wore a self-satisfied expression every day. It was just as well that she didn't bother me. Seized every single minute and second, and started to review frantically. I was like an extremely parched sponge, greedily absorbing the nourishment of knowledge. Xiao, have you heard? Lin Shanshan has been called to have a talk with the counselor. Lu Li came over with a gossipy look on her face. Really? What did they talk about? I asked curiously. It's still about that 1 million yuan transfer. However, Lin Shanshan insisted that the money was hers in the end. There was no conclusion, and the matter just fizzled out. Lu Li curled her lips in disdain and said, I don't believe her at all. If she has 1 million yuan, pigs can fly. Li Meng and I couldn't help bursting into laughter. In this life, Lin Shanshan finally got that 1 million yuan as she wished and spent it with great abandon. Even if there were some minor hitches in the middle, it's unlikely that she would come to cause me trouble. So I was in a very relaxed state of mind every morning. After finishing my jog, I would focus on my review with the proper balance between work and rest. My days were fulfilling and satisfying. Until one day, Lin Shanshan returned to the dormitory with a sullen face. She angrily threw her bag on the ground, and then climbed onto her bed alone. The three of us found it rather strange. Although Lin Shanshan was usually slovenly, she cherished her newly bought luxury bag. She generally wouldn't throw it around like this. What on earth happened to her today? But none of us were interested in meddling in her affairs. We were each occupied with our own business, and ignored her. After a while, Lin Shanshan couldn't hold her peace. After a fit of smashing things on the bed, she climbed down and walked straight up to me. Her resentful appearance startled me. "What do you want?" I asked warily. Lin Shanshan looked around and lowered her voice, saying, "Qiao Qiao, if you transferred money by mistake and wanted to get it back, would that be possible?" My heart skipped a beat. What was bound to come had finally arrived. "Lin Shanshan, this is your just deserts. Of course it's possible. This is protected by law," I replied, matter of factly. "But what if the other party has already spent the money? What if they can't pay it back?" Lin Shanshan bit her lip, her eyes filled with anxiety. "Probably have to go to jail, I guess." "Why, Shanshan? Why are you asking this all of a sudden? Could it be that you—" I deliberately drawled out my words. Lin Shanshan's face instantly turned pale, and she quickly waved her hands, saying, No, I'm just asking casually, just casually." After saying that, she slunk back to her bed dejectedly. I sneered inwardly. She had been spending money extravagantly these days. At least 500,000 or 600,000 yuan. She seemed as if she was afraid that the money would be taken back by the owner, and was spending it desperately. But the transfer records were clearly there. No matter how fast she spent, what was the use? In the end, she still had to return the money. The next day, as if she had made peace with it, Lin Shanshan's face regained its smile. She ate and drank as usual, not wronging herself at all, but just set her phone to silent mode. I clearly saw that someone called her every dozen or so minutes, but Lin Shanshan ignored it completely as if she didn't see it. She let the phone ring over and over again. She probably thought she could escape reality like this. But within a few days, the debt collection calls actually reached us. As soon as I picked up the phone, I heard a man shout gruffly, "Lin Shanshan, you maliciously embezzled other people's property. Pay back the money quickly." Lin Shanshan, pay back the money. I couldn't stop the smile on my face. It seemed that Lin Shanshan's contact list had been exposed. Now she couldn't pretend to be deaf and dumb anymore. Within a few days, several neighboring dormitories, and even the counselor knew about this matter. Naturally, it spread throughout the whole department. Now, everyone knew that Lin Shanshan's so-called sudden windfall was actually maliciously embezzling other people's property. Wherever Lin Shanshan went, she would be pointed at later. She was called to talk to the counselor again this time. It was even more serious. Even the police came. Lin Shanshan was ordered to return the money within 7 days. 60,000 yuan. How am I supposed to pay it back? It would be better to kill me. Lin Shanshan's ear-piercing screams echoed in the dormitory. Li was snacking on melon seeds and said coldly, "I told you back then that this money couldn't be spent. You just wouldn't listen. Now look at you." She got what she deserved. Li Meng also sneered. I shook my head in schadenfreude and said, "Tisk tisk, this is truly asking for trouble. Why did you all know but not stop me? It's all your fault." Lin Shanshan pointed at Lu Li and Li Meng and shrieked. Then, as if she remembered something, she suddenly rushed in front of me and wailed, "Qiao Qiao, you must help me. You re the richest in the dormitory. If you don't help me, I'm doomed." I twitched the corner of my mouth and said, "Do you take me for the god of wealth? 60,000 yuan, you might as well sell me. My monthly living expenses are only 3,000 yuan. Although I've saved some money over the years, it's only over 20,000 units, not enough to fill Lin Shanshan's big hole at all. Moreover, even if I had the money, I definitely wouldn't lend it to her. You'd better turn to your parents." I shook my head and said. Lin Shanshan shook her head in horror, saying, "No, I can't let them know. They'll kill me if they find out. The debt collection calls have reached Mado. You think they don't know?" I sneered. Lin Shanshan's eyes widened as she realized. "Then why don't they come to me?" "Oh, right in their eyes. There's only my younger brother. Even if they know, they don't care about my life or death. Why is everyone against me? If you really can't do it, go to your brother Ning. Didn't you spend a lot of money on him before? Now that you're in this situation, it should be no problem to get some of it back." I offered my helpful advice. Right. Lin Shanshan gave me a grateful look and rushed out. It was not until evening that she returned to the dormitory. Compared to when she went out, Lin Shanshan now looked extremely disheveled. There were 2 swollen spots on her face and several shoe prints on her back. We looked over curiously and saw her muttering to herself dejectedly, Why? Gu Qiao Qiao, it's all your fault." Suddenly, Lin Shanshan rushed towards me like a madwoman. "What lousy advice you gave me. That scoundrel Gao Ning isn't human at all. He even hit a girl." Woo. I pushed her away angrily and said, "Lin Shanshan, don't act crazy here. What does this have to do with me? Didn't you yourself say that you and your brother Ning had an extremely good relationship? I thought he really liked you." "Yeah, what does this have to do with Qiao Qiao? It was you who were eager to spend money on that hooligan." Luli chimed, I just don't understand. There are actually people who are willing to throw money at others these days, Li Meng also said. Li and Li Meng came over and stood in front of me protectively. Lin Shanshan, realizing she couldn't get the upper hand, glared at us fiercely and silently climbed back onto her bed. From then on, Lin Shanshan seemed to be in a state of utter dejection. She shut herself behind the bed curtain almost the whole day, and occasionally, the sound of her arguing on the phone could be heard. A few days later, Lin Shanshan's parents came to the girls' dormitory. The kind of person Lin Shanshan was indicated that her parents were no saints either. As soon as they arrived, the entire dormitory building was thrown into chaos. I'm telling you, your school is definitely to blame. You didn't manage such a big matter well, and now you expect us to pay? No way. Lin Shanshan's mother's voice was as shrill as a cracked gong. She clung to the dormitory aunt, insisting that the school give an explanation. Mom, come in and talk. Lin Shanshan, seemingly feeling ashamed, pulled her parents into the dormitory. The moment Lin Shanshan's mother saw her, she raised her hand and slapped her, saying, "You good-for-nothing girl. You secretly got $1 million, and didn't tell us you spent it all by yourself, and didn't even think of sharing some with your little brother. Now that you owe so much money, you expect us to clean up your mess? Don't even think about it." Lin Shanshan lowered her head and cried, "Mom, if I don't pay back the money, they'll sue Meth and I'll go to jail, and it will affect little brother in the future. You shameless thing. You still dare to threaten me with your little brother." Lin Shanshan's mother grabbed her hair and suddenly squatted on the ground, wailing, "Oh, why am I so unlucky? Giving birth to a good-for-nothing girl is bad enough, and now she's a debt collector. Yuri going to drain me dry." After crying, she turned her gaze to us and pointed at us viciously, saying, "You three are her roommates, right? You live together every day. How could you not know about this? Why didn't you tell the school earlier? Why didn't you stop her? You mean-spirited people. Do you just want to see your classmate in trouble? No, what does this have to do with us? We already told her, but she didn't listen." Li Meng looked helplessly. Luli chimed in, "I even told the counselor, but she insisted the money was hers. What could we do? You worthless thing. Others advised you, but you still spent the money and didn't even tell us." Lin Shanshan's mother started slapping Lin Shanshan again. Lin Shanshan covered her face and burst into tears. "No, it's not mites. Her, it's Gu Qiao who instigated me." "Me?" I looked completely confused, with a face full of question marks. Lin Shanshan said with a sense of entitlement, "Those two tried to persuade me at that time, only you didn't. Did you want to see me like this now?" "Exactly, you guessed it right." I almost burst out laughing and said, "But did I tell you to spend that money?" Lin Shanshan's mother immediately glared at me, put her hands on her hips and spat, "You slut. Dressing so provocatively, Yuri, clearly not a good person. Tell me, did you instigate her? If you did, don't try to get away." Alright. Stop making a scene." In the dormitory building, the counselor finally rushed over, protected us behind her, and put an end to this farce. She said seriously, "The school will mediate this matter. Come with me to the office, and don't disturb other students' studies." The counselor had seen all the materials for my exchange student application, so she naturally knew my situation. The counselor took Lin Shanshan's family away. Before leaving, she patted me on the shoulder and said, Xiao, work hard, don't let these things affect you. Your resume is excellent, and you have a great chance." I nodded vigorously. This matter was resolved quickly. After mediation by the school, Lin Shanshan's parents were only willing to pay half of the debt. For her, they refused to pay the remaining 300,000 yuan no matter what, and asked Lin Shanshan to figure it out herself. Helplessly, Lin Shanshan went to Gao Ning again. Judging by her expression when she came back this time, she should have received some compensation. According to Li Meng, Lin Shanshan's parents also went to make a scene at Gao Ning's place. Gao Ning, afraid of losing face as the school bully, returned some of the things Lin Shanshan had given him with a sullen face. Those things were sold second hand for 100,000 yuan, but as for the remaining 200,000 yuan, it's really hard to say how Lin Shanshan will pay it back. I couldn't care less about her every day. I still followed my own plan, arranging my work and rest and study reasonably. At 10:30 in the evening, I turned off the lights on time and went to bed, starting to review the knowledge I had learned during the day. Those contents were like slides being shown in my mind. This review method was very effective. After reviewing several times, drowsiness gradually set in. In a daze, I seemed to see a dark figure climbing onto my bed. Suddenly, a dazzling white light flashed. I sat up suddenly and exclaimed, "Lin Shanshan, what are you doing?" Lin Shanshan was also startled by me, and almost fell off the bed. Nothing," she stammered. "Then what are you doing climbing onto my bed? And what are you taking pictures of with your phone?" I pointed to the phone in her hand. "I'm not taking pictures, I'm just, a little scared and want to sleep with you," Lin Shanshan said awkwardly. Of course I didn't believe her nonsense. I snatched her phone. "Give it back. Gu Qiao, are you crazy? Why are you grabbing my phone?" Lin Shanshan screamed and pounced on Meth phone camera. Could be opened without unlocking. I rolled over to avoid her, and quickly clicked on the photo album in the lower left corner. On the screen was clearly a photo of me. It was so hot. And there was no air conditioner in the dormitory. The pajamas I was wearing were almost transparent. Lin Shanshan, you actually took a nude photo of me. What on earth are you trying to do? I questioned sternly. Lin Shanshan opened her mouth, but said nothing. Luli and the others were also awakened and came over angrily to help me. Are you trying to use my photo for a nude loan? I stared coldly at Lin Shanshan. Lin Shanshan pouted and said, well, I still owe 200,000 yuan since you won't lend me money. I have to find a way myself. I was so angry that I laughed and said, you find a way instead of borrowing yourself. You take my photo for a nude loan? Are you out of your mind? Did you also secretly take a picture of my ID information? So what if I did? Lin Shanshan stopped pretending and looked at me viciously. I just can't stand your arrogant and despicable look. Why, just because you have your parents' protection, can you easily enjoy such a comfortable life? Why are they all willing to be close to you and be friends with you? Everything in this world is so unfair to me. Lin Shanshan's eyes were blood red as she shouted hysterically. Have you noticed it for a long time from the very beginning? You looked down on me from the bottom of your heart. The friendliness you showed me before was all fake. Just an act. Her voice was sharp and full of resentment. You must have been looking forward to seeing me make a fool of myself and trying to harm me. She glared at me viciously, as if I were her sworn enemy. Clearly, you owe me that 1 million. Yuan should have been mine. Lin Shanshan was in a frenzy, saying as she tried to snatch the phone from my hand. I stared at her quietly, with indifference and disdain in my eyes. I should have recognized the true nature of such a person long ago. Whether I initially supported her in spending that money, or advised her to return it, she would ultimately blame all the mistakes on others. She would never reflect on her own actions. I said coldly, Lily, call the police. Luli snorted, her tone full of disgust. I already called. This crazy person might go berserk and hurt someone at any time. Before long, the shrill siren of the police car blared downstairs. Lin Shanshan was taken away by the police, and we also went to the police station together to cooperate with the statement taking. At the police station, I detailed the whole story and submitted the relevant evidence one by one. Eventually, Lin Shanshan was detained by the police, and we finally had a few days of much-needed peace. However, to our surprise, since the loan hadn't been successful, Lin Shanshan stubbornly refused to admit that she had attempted to use my photo for a nude loan. She was only detained for a few days, and was then released back to school after receiving a verbal education. The school merely gave her a disciplinary sanction, and then hastily wrapped up the matter. Lu Li and Li Meng were extremely indignant about this, yet I had no inclination to concern myself with such trifles. For the final examinations of the sophomore year were impending. Provided that my grade point average GPA can rank among the top 2 in the entire grade this time, I will be able to obtain the precious qualification to exchange to an Ivy League university. From then on, I dedicated nearly all of my time and energy to my studies. Apart from sleeping, I seldom returned to the dormitory every day. I immersed myself in the library, voraciously reviewing all the examination points. During the days of the examinations, I was completely absorbed in a state of self-oblivion. My mind was filled with nothing but the examination content, and could accommodate no other matters. After the examinations concluded, my tightly wound nerves finally relaxed. To be honest, after estimating my scores, I had a certain degree of confidence in myself. However, when it comes to grades, no one can be certain after all. It still depends on the teacher's grading criteria and mood. With a heart full of trepidation and excitement, I commenced packing my luggage because in 3 days, I was set to go home. Lu Li and Li Meng were even more eager than I was. In the night before the last examination, they had already packed their luggage. They were eager to leave the dormitory and distance themselves from Lin Shanshan, that loathsome presence. They kindly urged me to leave with them as soon as possible, but I declined with a smile and gentle words, for I was well aware that as long as I was on my guard, Lin Shanshan could pose no threat to me whatsoever. Moreover, I still had one crucial matter left to accomplish. After Lu Li and Li Meng left, only Lin Shanshan and I remained in the dormitory. Ever since returning from the police station, I had not uttered a single word to her, and I had no intention of breaking this silence now. Lin Shanshan, on the other hand, took the initiative to strike up conversations with me several times. Xiao, I was wrong about what happened before. I truly know my mistake now. Please forgive me. Her voice carried a tinge of flattery. Your family is so wealthy. Could you tell me some ways to make money quickly? Her eyes betrayed her longing for money. Xiao, I really regret it. You were so kind to me before, but I always took advantage of you and didn't know how to be grateful. Please give me another chance. Her tone was supplicating, but no matter what she said, I ignored her as if I hadn't heard. Eventually, she stopped embarrassing herself. I deliberately drew a bed curtain, shielding both my desk and my bed. Every day, I hid behind the curtain, watching dramas, chatting and browsing videos. I could sense that several times when Lin Shanshan passed by the curtain, she couldn't resist craning her neck to peek at my activities. After all, prying into others' privacy was one of her major vices. Late at night, several Alipay arrival prompts suddenly rang out successively from inside my curtain. These pleasant prompts made Lin Shanshan scratch her ears and cheeks in anxiety. She kept sticking her head out, attempting to see clearly what I was doing inside the curtain, while I deliberately paid no attention to her, and simply climbed onto the bed to sleep. The next day, Lin Shanshan went out to fetch food. When she returned, she saw that my curtain was still tightly closed. Immediately afterward, a series of arrival prompts sounded again. Lin Shanshan finally could not hold back and asked urgently, "Qiao Qiao, what are you doing in there? Now that it's vacation, are you doing a summertime part-time job?" I sneered inwardly. What part-time job could earn so much money? It was just that Lin Shanshan was now so obsessed with money that she would fabricate everything in the direction she desired. "Qiao Qiao, please take me with you to make money, okay?" Her voice held a note of urgency. I remained silent and did not respond to her. Lin Shanshan stamped her feet in frustration. Just then, my phone rang. "Hello, your take out is hanging on the railing downstairs. Please come and pick it up." "Okay, thank you." I stood up and walked outside in my slippers. The moment I turned around, I caught a glimpse of Lin Shanshan, rushing impatiently into my curtain from the corner of my eye. I couldn't help but curl my lips slightly and think to myself, very well, the fish has finally taken the bait. On the third day, I summoned a Hualala to load up my big and small bags of luggage, supposing it was my last time to return to the dormitory. I took out my phone, opened a video, and in the face of Macau Venetian, I chose to delete it. Upon returning home, I indulged in my mother's delicious cuisine, lay on the soft bed, and happily distanced myself from Lin Shanshan. After spending 2 weeks at home, the grades of each subject were announced one after another. The grades were. Seeing that I had nearly full marks in all subjects and ranked first in the major, I was so excited that I couldn't sleep all night, knowing that I had obtained the exchange quota. The next day, the counselor conveyed the good news. The school's approved document was mailed to my home, and I posted a photo on my moments. Friends and relatives left messages to congratulate me. Suddenly realized that I hadn't blocked Lin Shanshan yet, and promptly blocked and deleted her. When the vacation ended, under the farewell of my parents, I boarded the plane bound for a foreign country to commence my junior year. Initially, upon arriving in a foreign land, I felt novelty and excitement. Later, due to homesickness and life pressure, I gradually felt tormented. Fortunately, I met like-minded friends and together we delved into knowledge, explored the scenery, and sweated our youth away. I maintained contact with Lu Li, and she informed me that Lin Shanshan had resorted to nude loans to fill her debt gap. Lin Shanshan became addicted to online gambling, stole the bank book, and incurred over 1 million yuan in debt again. When her parents learned of this, they rushed to the school with kitchen knives, intending to sever ties with her. Lin Shanshan scuffled with her mother. Her father, in a fit of rage, chopped off one of Lin Shanshan's hands. Thereafter, she never went to school again, and her student status was cancelled. Since the creditors couldn't find Lin Shanshan, they turned their attention to her parents. The Lin family was burdened with a huge debt, and was unable to repay it. Lin Shanshan's father was disabled in a conflict with the debt collectors, and her mother passed away from a cerebral infarction. Only a young child was left alone and helpless. When Luli recounted this, she was full of sighs and lamentations. While I was extremely calm, the grudges of the previous life had already dissipated. Their lives had nothing to do with me, and I was about to embark on my own glorious life.